December. Winter is finally here, and probably the most famous holidays of the season is Christmas, which is quickly approaching. And one of the things that we technologies, what we are doing is giving ourselves gifts. And one of the gifts that's very common is Raspberry Pi for those who like to play and tinker, sometimes called Lego for adults. So, what does that have to do with Meteor? That's what we'll be discovering in this episode of This Week in Meteor. And I am Jan Horak. Alem is not here. I am streaming to you live from Sendai. And with me here is
Jan Küster from Germany. Hello.
And we also have a very special guest. Yes, indeed. And that is?
Hi. Pitfalls, CEO of Wekan.
Yes. And today,
awesome. So let's get straight into the news. So I have a bit of a lot of tasks. So bear with me. So first of all, a big reminder. This is at least I got it in the email last week to answer state of JavaScript. I got this early in the week. I assume a few days left. So if you haven't done so already, please go and tell everybody else about what you think about JavaScript and what you know and what you don't know. So it's very important. It's also a very good, I could say, a survey you can for yourself as well. You figure out, what do you know, what you don't know, and what are all the other news that are happening. And there is, so it's always a lot of fun. So definitely do that. We had quite a few releases as well. And the one that I would like to highlight is Vite 6. So Vite, if you don't know, is kind of the build tool that's kind of taking over, and they have big plans. Vite 6 is kind of, let's say, maybe the first step towards that. What's going to come in Vite 7 and 8, where they're really building up all the different, say, underlying tools from scratch themselves. So, and if you are following our news, you know that Vite 6 also, or like not Vite 6, but hopefully in the future, Vite is going to replace the Meteor build tool as well. So that's for Vite. If you like what we are doing, find this interesting, don't forget to hit the like button, or even at least if you mildly find things interesting and informative. Jan, what do you have for us in the news?
Yes, so another topic that is already a little bit older, but it's still something that you should take a look at. There is the React router issue. So maybe for those who don't know about React router, for React, there is a specific router that works independently from what we are doing in Meteor, but actually is very React specific. And so the question is, why does the React router version 7 not working together with Meteor? Because usually Meteor doesn't have any issues in integrating native NPM packages. And there seems to be some of these build tool issues. So coming from Vite, let's talk a little bit about what's the build tool issue here. So it seems that this React router uses newer features that are actually bundled away by the Meteor build tool. At least it's what I'm supposing. So I think Nacho is the one who's working on that, correct? Because he's the one who's deeper into the build tools. And there is now, there is a solution now. That's why we put this into the news. So when you scroll down in the forums, right at the bottom of this, more, there is something that is like a workaround posted by Nacho there, and you should check that out, especially if you're using React with React Router version 7 and you get into issues with that, then please check this out.
Yeah, it's a temporary workaround until we have a better solution. There is Meteor also is not good at supporting some of the latest ways how npm manages or like has a new ways how to kind of put imports and exports. So that's something to look out for. But on that note, we have Node 22.12 coming out, which I submitted earlier today. A pull request to include in the next release of Meteor, and it has additional require ESM support enabled by default. So all these things are kind of coming in. There's quite a lot of them going around, so it's sometimes a bit difficult to figure out which is what. So let's move on to the Meteor news.
One thing, Jan, can I say one thing before? Yeah. And as you can see here in this example, this is why we clearly should consider Vite as a build tool, because with Vite you have many of these import-export issues already resolved in the final bundle, and also have this whole support with import.meta and whatever. I don't know the details, but I know from a fact that when I'm working in another project where we use Vite as the bundler for our client-side code, this is working so good, and I hope there is progress in that direction soon.
Hopefully. What is happening, but let's kind of step a bit back. What it was released was my talk at Open Source Summit. So you can check that out on YouTube on the Linux Foundation channel. They have a nice playlist with all the other talks as well. So give it a watch. Let me know what you think. When we go to the Meteor community packages, just a few hours ago, actually 1 hour ago, I released Meteor Collection Hooks version 2. So that's quite a big, important Meteor 3 supported package. So give it a try. If you find an issue, please be sure to report it so we can fix them. And let me check my notes if there is anything else.
Yep. I can tell you what else there is.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I can tell you what else there is, and that is that we checked last time how many people subscribed to our channel while watching our video, and we found that still nearly a half of the people that watch our videos are no subscribers. So if you don't want to miss a video, and if you want to support us with what we're doing, then and help us to grow, grow the channel, improve our channel, but also grow the MeteorJS community, then hit the subscribe button and become a subscriber. And now I think it's time for the main topic, right?
Yes, understanding Meteor. So before we go there, we have a reminder here. This special topic, understanding Meteor, is supported by Galaxy Hosting. That is the offshore hosting for Meteor software. And if you go to the link below and put in dispatches-60 for the coupon code, you get $60 off, which is about 2 months free if you really play around it. So be sure to check it out. Give Galaxy a try. And with that, Jan, Lori, tell us about our Legos for technologists and all the fun that you have with Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, I hope you can see it. The Lego for the technologists. So
Yep.
yeah, so actually these little tiny mini computers, for those who don't know, and I know everyone knows, it's just a little introduction. So these little tiny mini computers, called Raspberry Pi, they are of course only one representative of these kind of mini computers. There are also different manufacturers with different models. There's something like Banana Pi is the first one that comes to my mind, and mostly these they have, as you can see, a credit card size, or a little bit larger maybe, but they're like very very small size, but they bring the full capacity, with controls, in terms of having USB connections, having a LAN connection, even Wi-Fi, having a HDMI display port, and so on. And as you can see, mine, for example, is passively cooled, so this one doesn't really bring so much power that it needs an active cooling. It's a very tiny device. I think it takes less than 5 watts for running. So if you live in an area that has where the sun is active, then you could even run this thing using a solar panel. And so these are, let me switch my camera back to my usual view. Just wanted to give you little overview here. So they're little nice toys from what you see there. But the question is, what can you do with them what can you actually do with them? Are there any use cases for them, or is this just for playing around? And I was looking into it from time to time, what I could do with it. And a very interesting use case was, why not install some software privately on that Raspberry Pi and use it, for example, only within the family. So I don't want to get into the cloud, because I don't know, data is too personal. I don't want to share it with anyone, or it's just I just want to experiment with things like this. But there are also other use cases like DIY, right? So you want to build some automation things like in your garden or whatever, and then you want to have a mini computer controlling these things, no big resource intensive tasks. This is where these devices are actually really useful. And I was thinking, okay, I have this thing laying around here at my home. Can I do something with Meteor? Can I deploy something on this machine? Can I install Meteor on it and develop with Meteor on it? For example, I don't know, there are people having only this as their only computer that actually exists. And here is the thing, it's not as trivial as thought, and this is why I have Laurie with me today, because Laurie has already some deep experience in that topic when he tried to install different tools on the Raspberry Pi, and including Wekan. I think you tried also to install Wekan at least.
Yes, I have run Wekan on Raspberry Pi 3.
Okay, and today we want to give some overview first before we go deeper into it. So here's the thing. There are two ways to run a Meteor app on the Raspberry Pi, right? The first one would be to install Meteor and then run it locally. Of course, that's not a production app, that's a development app, but we could try. So, and the second one would be you develop your Meteor app locally and then you want to deploy it to the Raspberry Pi. So instead of deploying to a server with huge intensive resources, you actually deploy it to your Raspberry Pi on your local network. And there's a tool you can use for that. That's Meteor app, or MUP in short, and you can use it to set your deploy target. But this is already too far. So let me first quickly share my screen and to show you where I was going now. So bear with me. Don't expect too much because this is actually a Raspberry Pi I'm using. And it's a Raspberry Pi 3. So it's a very old model. It's a 2015 Raspberry Pi. And for those who don't know, Raspberry Pi is not using x86 based architecture, but it's an ARM architecture. So it's not that trivial to install any software that runs on the other architectures here. So you need to have a special Node version, you need to have a special MongoDB version, and so on. And if you want to install Meteor, you need to have Meteor being capable of running on ARM. And unfortunately, it does now. And I tried to install Meteor, and what I did was I first installed Node.js, which works fine. So if I run Node.js on my Raspberry Pi, then I have an older version, the version 18. That's fine for now, because Meteor comes with a Node version anyway. And yeah, I can, I don't know. Yeah, I can just run things in the REPL, so that's working. And oh, sorry, that's not we're not in Python. And then I have npm also on the system, and with these together, I can already run some Node tools. And I think I just get the hint that the text is way too small. So let me increase that. So maybe this is better now. And I also have, okay, I just installed Meteor globally, but magically it's not there. So Laurie, maybe you can help me out. When you installed Meteor on a Raspberry Pi did you use npm to install it?
Yes, I will go through that in my part.
Okay, perfect. Because I installed it on mine, and so I can look if I can run npx Meteor, and then see what happens here in the meantime. And then something is there, but apparently it tries to install Meteor, but that's not what I want. I installed Meteor using npm install -g Meteor, but apparently it cannot locate it right now. So I would be stuck right now at that point. So I don't know where to go from here when I want to run my local Meteor installation. So maybe maybe at that point I already let Laurie talk a little bit about his experience, and then I'm coming back to see if I can run this on my machine.
Okay. I would try to share my screen. Just a moment.
Storyteller, can you please share at Laurie's screen to the screen share?
Okay. So, because Wekan is quite big applications, for Meteor 3 here we are trying something more simple, like a simple tasks from the CEO of Meteor Software, Federico Maia. So simple task is a simple to-do list. There is some tasks and check mark, and it is using Meteor 3. So, but where we did get here is not kind of that simple. So first, for this is currently running Raspberry Pi 4, but if I take away the micro SD card and change it to Raspberry Pi 3, it is the same software there and it will run. The difference is that the Raspberry Pi 4 has 4 gigabytes of RAM memory, and Raspberry Pi 3 has 1 gigabyte of RAM memory. So in that case, it would be more useful to add swap file to Raspberry Pi Linux, and also shut down the desktop environment so that it uses only the command line interface to run Node.js and MongoDB. And also then here it is the Raspberry Pi 4 is running the Ubuntu 24.04 ARM64 full desktop that has been first copied to microSD card and then booted, and after that there is installed Node.js 22 and MongoDB 8, and but there is one small problem with the processor, because the MongoDB has drop support for older CPUs. So for ARM64, it runs on Raspberry Pi 5 and Orange Pi 5 and Apple Silicon, but it does not run on Raspberry Pi 4. So how to get MongoDB running on Raspberry Pi 4? There is software called QEMU that is emulator. It has two parts. One is the QEMU system that emulates full operating system, but another one is QEMU user that emulates and runs only one Linux executable binary.
Okay, Laurie, but why do we need this QMO actually? Because maybe this is not clear to me right now for what we need the QMO.
Well, because when you run MongoDB on Raspberry Pi 4, it crashes to core dump.
Ah, because there's something missing, right?
Yes, it is not a new processor CPU.
Mm-hmm.
So where MongoDB would not crash is Raspberry Pi 5, Orange Pi 5, and Apple Silicon. But with any kind of old CPU, it will crash. So core dump, illegal instruction. But because QEMU has made implementation of every feature of the modern processor, newest processor, with QEMU, it is possible to run that one executable on any CPU. So, for example, this is not for only ARM64. This is also for Intel and AMD processors, because newest processors have instructions called AVX, and MongoDB has required AVX since MongoDB 5 and does not run on older CPUs. But there is, for example, older CPU like Core 2 Duo that I have at one Vista era laptop, and to run MongoDB on that computer, I use QEMU user that runs that one MongoDB server binary using the full emulation of newest processor. So in that way, MongoDB runs at every computer where is Linux available.
Okay, so that's basically the challenge here, is to get the MongoDB running while the Node.js is well supported and Meteor might be well supported as well. And in order to get back to what I installed in the first place, let me, Jan, please, storyteller, please let me switch back to my terminal and let me show. So I installed Meteor. So it did install actually. I just had to use a little bit where Meteor is. So there is the Meteor installed here. So let me go to this folder and let me take a look in the node modules, Meteor. And as you can see there is something there. And the question would be now, if we take a look in the README, yep, that's the versions README. Okay. So there is another node modules Meteor. No, there is no. Isn't there the Meteor tool in the node modules? No, it is not there. So there is the config, extract, and install. So this is the point where I'm still a little bit stuck, and I still don't know why I can run this. There is this CLI.js, so maybe I'm just running node CLI.js. Let's see what's happening here. Yeah, Meteor package to JSON. Yeah, this is what I did. At that point, I'm already a little bit stuck. It would be really great to get some idea from the audience how this is working out, because actually I wanted to do some more interactive coding today. So what do you think here? How can I run my Meteor? It's installed somewhere on the Raspberry Pi, but I still can't get it running. I don't know how to access it after I installed with npm -global. Laurie, how did you get it running after that? Did you just type in Meteor and then it ran?
No, because command Meteor currently gives some error.
Mm-hmm. And then
So
you used, so you went into another directory and then you built it?
yes. So all the commands and install instructions are at GitHub repo.
Mm-hmm.
So that is github.com/set7/simple-tasks. So just could you switch to my screen share?
Yep.
Yeah. So what I did is, first when I had built Meteor, then I did install the. Oh, just a moment. I'll try to. How do I get bigger? So first I did install with Meteor npm install some npm packages. Then I did build normally the build directory for the bundle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did, but after that there was some error. But
Okay.
I used a trick for previous porting to different CPUs. So I did change to the server directory, build bundle program server, and there did npm install. So that did build the bundle to directory build and bundle.
Okay.
And then how to run it. So here start script. This is kind of normal stuff. Add the MongoDB URL and root URL port and node mail.js. But what is the MongoDB? How it works? So let's try to find that. Installing MongoDB. So first we install QML user. And then we rename the MongoDB executable to some other name. This is because there is a service running with systemctl, like systemd. Then we need to replace that binary with starting script. And that starting script runs that QEMU emulator for this one binary with that MongoDB config file. So this emulates ARM64 full CPU with that one binary of MongoDB server. And it uses exactly the same configuration file. Then we make it executable, and then we start the service. So this makes the script the trick that because there is no support for newer CPU, but that QEMU has support for the newest CPU. So it is emulating only the server. And that server, as a Linux user MongoDB and group MongoDB has access to files that MongoDB has originally, because this is using MongoDB provided apt package repo and installing all the binaries. Similarly, like Raspberry Pi 5, this would work the same way, but at Raspberry Pi 5, we do not need this QEMU at all because there is newer CPU processor.
So maybe just to get back or to pick up some people at this point. For those who don't know, the Raspberry Pi usually operates with operating systems based on Linux. So all of these commands you see here, like the QEMU, for example, this tool, and all the paths you can see, and the other commands, system control, sudo, and so on. This is all very Linux based. So if you're coming from the Windows side of things, and you didn't use Windows subsystem for Linux, for example, then this might be a little bit new for you. And this is why it's really great to have these kind of resources that Laurie compiled together, where you can already use these explanations, use these scripts to get your infrastructure around your actual project running. And it's not trivial, but this is why we're doing this episode today. There are big challenges to get this running, but maybe we get to something here. So Jan, can you switch please back to my screen share, because I finally got my it's still not the same, but I found my Meteor here. So, and then minus version. Let's see what version of Meteor we have installed here. It takes a little while, so you can already see my Raspberry Pi 3 is not the fastest one, but you can see here there is a Meteor 3.1 at least. And what we're doing now is, let me please create a new project. And of course, I'm creating a Blaze project because that's what I'm always doing. And then let me create some RPI test project, and let's see how that works in in real time. And there is already some command that's not found, but that's actually only the skeleton. I don't know why it didn't find the skeleton, because the Raspberry Pi is online and has online access. So Git is not installed. Okay, I didn't install Git on this one. So this is also something you have to consider when you install Raspberry Pi and the default Raspberry Pi OS. You might have to additionally install some commands you might find already existing on other systems like Ubuntu. And sorry, that was me. So let me check a minute in the chat if there are any comments or questions. But it looks good so far. So let's see how far we can get. And if you have any questions or if you have any hints that you want to give us right now or something that interests you, then please leave a message in the chat and then we can pick it up during the process right now. But it's looking good. It's extracting Blaze and it's extracting the other things. So from what I see, it looks promising. What do you think, Laurie? Did you already got an error at that point, or did you, when installing and running Meteor, was that all fine?
So at every platform there is Meteor installs the path to Meteor command to the .bashrc file. So it is needing to close the terminal and open it again. So then the path works.
Okay.
Yeah. So similarly, it is any kind of programming language. There needs to be path where is to execute the applet. Yeah, and also there is also other JavaScript runtimes, not just Node.js. There is Bun and Dino, and both Bun and Dino, if I remember correctly, currently require the newer AVX instructions. So, but it is possible to run those with QEMU user.
Okay. I get it. So I just opened, I logged in with another shell into my Raspberry Pi, and then of course there is Meteor installed on the path. So actually it was just me not knowing that I would have to reload my bash RC or just log out, log in again. Thank you for that. And these are these little hints. If you don't know them, then sometimes it takes ages until you get to a solution simply because of these small steps that take time. And as you can see, it's also still taking time. So if you're doing something on the Raspberry Pi with Meteor, and even if it's even if you're not building your app with Meteor, even if you're just running it, expect things to be much slower than you know from your local development setup. And that's not trivial. What I would like to see here right now is if the bundled MongoDB can run on this without issues, because that's actually one thing that interests me the most, because I think the MongoDB that comes bundled with Meteor is a much lighter version than the actual MongoDB that I can install. Sorry, that I fully install on my server. Or correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, so it kind of depends what version of MongoDB is included, or some database with Meteor, because if it is using the MongoDB that is included with Meteor, then on older GPU like Raspberry Pi 3, it requires running that MongoDB with QEMU user.
So I need the QEMU for the local user as well, for the local MongoDB as well.
Well, that kind of depends what is being done. So if there is only need to build the Meteor bundle, it is possible to build that directly at Raspberry Pi. That screen could be switched to my share screen, so I will show that.
Storyteller, can you please switch to Laurie's screen?
Okay. So here is the build script. I try to make it bigger.
It looks good.
Yeah. So this is installing the npm packages, running the Meteor build, and making the bundle, and then it is changing to directory build bundle program server, and there installing npm packages. So this is what is required to build the bundle on a Raspberry Pi.
Okay, and then so because there is no MongoDB involved, you could even use your Raspberry Pi as your mini build server. It takes time, but if you do it overnight when you have a CI or something, and if it's your CI server, and then you do it overnight and building, then you could do that, right?
Yeah. So then we will look at the build time. So this has run the build for the bundle. It takes 17 minutes and 31 seconds. It's not so bad. It is not many hours. But
no,
this
but
is
it's also a small project.
but this is on Raspberry Pi 4.
Yeah.
When you take this to Raspberry Pi 3, well, maybe it is a little longer.
Okay. And also that was just a small project. So if you would like to build Wekan, then it would take much longer than the simple tasks.
Yes, simple task is quite simple, but current Wekan has, when it is building everything, it is taking a lot of time on normal fast computer because there is 60,000 files.
Okay, that's a lot, yeah.
So it is not that simple yet to port, but maybe sometime I'll figure it out.
So I'm still, by the way, I'm already at the installing dependencies part, so we still have a little bit time until we can get back to my console. By the way, to just some statement to the audience. So it was expected, but it wasn't expected that it's that slow. It's really slow. So, but it's done. So let me switch to mine in a minute, and let's see. So mine is done. So let's go into the RPI test, and let's just run Meteor. Sorry, I'm still in the can I actually reload environment? Can I reload what's not reload? What a source? I can source. It's not. Isn't there some? Let me quickly see. No. Okay, that looks good. At least it doesn't tell me that the command is not found. But now it looks like it's stuck. What's going on? Oh, preparing project. Okay. So I'm again back at the building phase. But here's the thing. So when you were talking about building, Lori, then did you mean the local the local build, what I'm doing now, like running this Meteor app using Meteor, or did you intend for building in terms of production grade building as you showed in the script? Or was that production building a supplement to get it running by any chance?
So that Meteor, could you switch to my share screen? So I'll go back here. So this does not run anything else, but it is building kind of the production bundle. So here first it does not include the dev dependencies when installing on npm packages. Then there is the Meteor build command that builds the bundle to build subdirectory. So this is the normal way to make the production build, where there is only the bundle directory that in this case is just some files because this is the simple task project. But when in Wekan it makes the bundle directory, that bundle directory has 60,000 files. So that is the difference, and this builds it for production. So it is at that subdirectory build bundle program server installing more npm packages, and after that it is started like in production. So in production there is adding all the production MongoDB URL, where it is currently, this is running directly at Raspberry Pi, and then root URL and port, and starting for production with nodes MeteorJS.
Okay, so that's actually running everything directly.
Yeah.
I'm sharing the link to this project, by the way, in the chat for the audiences to check that out who is interested in that, and because this is really awesome to have this well documented approach. Okay, this is an example project, and here is how you can build it on your Raspberry Pi, so everyone can get their own experiences, and maybe they have a newer one, as you said, the Model 5, and with the Model 5, then you're much easier on the whole MongoDB installation and running part of things, and then maybe you can get a bit faster to your results than I do, for example, with my Raspberry Pi 3, which is still at the linking phase, building for web.browser. And so if we're having like a few more minutes, then maybe my local app will run here. It's already on the I'm already on the minifying app style sheet phase. So as you can see, this is taking really, really long. Fortunately, once this is compiled and I can run it, then reloading will be much faster because lots of the assets are cached. And yes, there is a question from Alim, and that's a good point. The question is, are you running the build on the Pi or another machine and then pushing the build to the Pi? And that's what I tried to start in the beginning, that you have different use cases. One use case is you build your Meteor project on another machine, and then you push it to the Pi, and then you run it on the Pi. But again, I cannot demonstrate that because I can't, with my Raspberry Pi 3 right now, I cannot install on the Raspberry Pi default operating system, I cannot install MongoDB. I would require an Ubuntu on the Raspberry Pi, which you can install on the Raspberry Pi, but I only have 1 GB of RAM on the Raspberry Pi 3, and then I'm really get into trouble installing MongoDB on the Raspberry Pi 3 on the Ubuntu, unless I have a headless OS. I got really stuck in before, and as you can see already, I'm also now in trouble. So I wanted to demonstrate the other use case, the use case of I have a Raspberry Pi and I have a Meteor project that I wanted to create there, and then to, for example, to build it or to play around with it, or maybe use it as my development machine. But as you can see clearly, it's not sufficient as a development machine. But still, I wanted to get this running on the Raspberry Pi, simply to see if it works, because that's what people wanted so bad for a long time, to have this Meteor support on ARM, and yeah, that's what I wanted to find out right now, and I'm still building, and I think there is this unexpected Mongo exit code now, and that's not a good sign, right, Laurie?
Yes, you could change to my shared screen, so I will show more details. So there is file MongoDB CPU support. So some people may have some faster computers already, like some new Mac where is ARM64. So that normally runs Mac OS, but it is possible to run dual boot with Asahi Linux Ubuntu, or then at Mac App Store is application UTM that is emulator. There is possible with QEMU, and also with only QEMU installed to computer. It is possible to run that Ubuntu ARM64 and there build Meteor. So it is much faster than the Raspberry Pi 3.
Yeah, that's the thing. I
Yeah.
mean, I have that the Raspberry 3 has like 4 cores with 1 gigahertz or something, so it's not really that fast, and there are no virtual cores as well. So
Yes, so the user experience with Meteor at Linux is exactly the same. For example, is it the CPU, Intel or AMD or Apple Silicon? It is all the same commands to install Ubuntu, install Meteor, but only difference is if you go to any old CPU, then you need the QEMU.
So maybe I should try to run this QMO on my machine here now in order to see if MongoDB is supported, or to get the local MongoDB support.
Yes, because the QEMU user
Mhm.
does run the existing MongoDB
Mhm.
at that. So here when
Yeah.
install, yeah.
Should I try
So
it?
yes, you can try it.
Okay.
So and even if you have Raspberry Pi OS that is Debian, you can anyway download the Ubuntu deb packages and try to install those directly
mm,
because those are same CPU architecture.
okay.
And actually that QEMU has a static version, so I would think that that any binary that is ARM64 and Linux would also run the MongoDB.
Okay, then maybe I'm in the meantime, let me try to get the MongoDB, and so it's the ARM for MongoDB, ARM for Ubuntu.
Yes, but there is the difference. If it is a package repository that is installed with apt, that
Mm,
repository is only for Ubuntu. But if you want to install the server deb package,
mm,
it does not recognize Debian that is Raspberry Pi OS. So that
mm,
requires to go to MongoDB website to the download page and download the deb package for Ubuntu ARM64 and install it with sudo apt
mm,
/y install dot slash and package name. So
okay.
with apt command, it does also install all the dependencies that are required. But if someone uses the command dpkgi -e and so on, then it may require installing the required dependencies with up -f install.
Okay. Sorry. I just see that we're running close to the end here, and so what I would do now is so that first of all, let's wrap this up a little bit. So it's not that trivial. Still today, it's not 100% trivial and easy to deploy and as well as install Meteor on the Raspberry Pi, but it's possible, and there are resources you can use in order to make this happen. And I posted a link there from the Simple Task repository where Laurie shared all his experience, how he got it running, and so on. And I think this is still a very good and useful resource, even if we didn't get it running live here right now. Yeah, as Ming in the comments just said, buy a Pi 5 and then try again next week. So maybe it's much easier, and it's Christmas soon, so maybe I just put a Pi 5 on my wish list, and then we will do a follow-up video on that, because I think it's still a very valid use case to run your applications on your private infrastructure and not reaching the outside at all. And yeah, thank you, Laurie, for providing these information and the help, and that you showed everyone, that you shared with everyone what you experienced and what you solved already, so that others have an easier time on these tasks.
Yes, I could add a much more capable Christmas present, because there is a device called Orange Pi 5, and that is a newer CPU also. It runs also the Meteor and everything like Raspberry Pi 5, but there is a new model available, if it is not outsold, that can have 32 gigabytes of RAM memory. That is kind of enough for a web browser. More than 1 gigabyte.
Oh, okay.
And also, other thing is that it is possible to that Orange Pi add NVMe storage. So it is much faster than the micro SD card that is also possible there. So for example, 1 terabyte of NVMe storage.
Okay.
So it is possible to bought that Orange Pi 5 that has 32 gigabytes of RAM with that storage of 1 terabyte of NVMe and use it for all development.
Okay, so I will check that out and then see if that's still in my budget range.
Yep.
And then I try to get a Orange Pi and see if I can deploy my next Meteor app to the Orange Pi. So I just see that Storyteller has to leave us very soon. And so, Jan, is there anything you want to add here or want to leave a notice?
Well, from my understanding, Raspberry Pis are also used often in a lot of home devices. Is that correct assumption, or?
I would say that Raspberry 5 has the best support and most optimized operating systems and everything most available, because it has much better support for everything and every operating system. The current maintainer of Orange Pi 5 Ubuntu version currently has some issues, so would need some help. But anyway, probably they will get some help with all the maintenance load. But Raspberry Pi 5 is currently the best hardware for everything because every operating system and software is ported to it, and it runs the newest software, so it kind of is still the best. There is only 8 gigabytes of RAM memory, but also the older Raspberry Pi OS versions just got new optimizations and more speed ups. The Raspberry Pi operating system is amazingly optimized and fast compared to any other operating system on the hardware.
Okay, so maybe I should stick with the Raspberry Pi 5 and then.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see if I will get one for Christmas. I will put that on my wish list, and then let's see in in a few episodes when I'm back, and then maybe I'm a little bit better on the whole timing in terms of installation, building, and so on, and then we can do a follow-up here and hopefully then finally deploy a Meteor application on the Raspberry Pi. What do you think?
Yes, and also that everything with Meteor 3 and web browser did already run at Raspberry Pi 4 that has only 4 gigabytes of RAM memory. So 8 gigabytes of Raspberry Pi 5 with faster CPU and no need to use QEMU is already better.
Yes, and much easier because that's the workflow we are used to.
Yes, there is less need for any kind of tricks.
Yes, and one last note because we're close to end. I wanted as an alternative. I want to share it with you guys. I wanted as an alternative install FerretDB. So let's see if it works with FerretDB because that's also a topic we picked up quite a while ago, and they made lots of improvements already. And but the problem was that I was not stuck with FerretDB itself, but with PostgreSQL. So there were some errors with PostgreSQL, and so maybe I will get some update on that in the future. So my plan to use Ferret as a substitute for Mongo didn't work out.
Yes, so FerretDB replaces MongoDB, so it is one server binary made with a Go language, so it implements MongoDB via protocol and many features of the MongoDB, but maybe it does not yet have all the MongoDB queries or some other features for supporting all the Meteor. But for simple applications and simple queries, it may work. But anyway, the FerretDB is kind of a proxy, so it converts all the MongoDB queries to SQL database that can be PostgreSQL or SQLite. And SQLite uses much less RAM than PostgreSQL. So anyway, they are actively developing FerretDB that is nice future option.
Yeah. Okay, Laurie, one last thing. Where can people find your work, what you're doing, and how can people support you?
It's all at Wekan.tim.
Okay, so I will share the screen, the link in a minute, and thank you so much for having you here on the show and for sharing all your knowledge, guys. If you look into the Wekan repository in the wiki section, there is so many information on so many topics, and Laurie has compiled them all together. So if you have anything gathered from there that helps you further, consider sponsoring Laurie. I think you also set up a GitHub sponsoring, if I'm right. And apart from that, there is the Wekan.team link I'm sharing in the chat right now. And with that, I think we're in the closing, right?
Yes, there's still one thing to go, you could say, as always. But first of all, a big reminder, this is a sponsored segment by Galaxy. Galaxy is the official hosting for Meteor. Remember to use dispatches-60 as your coupon code to get $60 off, and that will give you, if you're testing things for 2 months, very easily. So dispatches-60. So looks like Raspberry Pis are going to get more powerful and eventually take over our homes. But before that, we have AI taking over everywhere else. And this useful resource here that we have today is Timecomplexity.ai, where you put in, I could say, the function, and they have some different options here, but analyze it and kind of tell you what are the different issues that you might encounter during runtime and potential things that might not be initially visible. So let me try if I can. So the classical, O and squared and all those things. So
and it supports multiple languages, so it's not limited to the languages you see there in the thing. So you can also insert your JavaScript code.
So give it a try. See what you can make out of it, and that's it as far as I have my notes. Anything else, guys, you want to add here before we say goodbye?
Not from
all right, so thank you everybody for staying with us. Don't forget to hit the like button, or even better, to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Sadly, you cannot hit it multiple times, but only once. So with that, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. And who knows, maybe it's time to consider Raspberry Pi as a Christmas present. Because Christmas is approaching. I think you will see all the ads and all the shows around Christmas probably already for a month. But if not, it should be coming around this corner. And with that, let me find the end stream. We will see you again next week on Friday with another exciting episode of Meteor Dispatches. So thank you very much. And from my side, good night. Have a nice weekend, everybody.